Today's lesson is multiplying and dividing fractions. Our objectives are to multiply fractions and to divide fractions. To be able to divide a fraction, we need to know the word reciprocal. Reciprocals are numbers, which are integers that can be flipped. So if you look, this is our original number, that's 2. In our reciprocal, we would flip the 2. We would turn 2 into 2 over 1, and then we can flip it, and it would be 1 over 2. If you look at negative 2/3, I do the reciprocal of it, and it's still a negative, so it's negative 3/2 now. You're just flipping it around. I'll use the word reciprocal more than flip, but it might be good to put that in your head. So, we are going to multiply. Some of these have variables, but that's okay. So, what you do is you're going to take your numerator, that's your top part, and you go 4, and it says times here, 4 times 1, 4 times 1, and then you take your denominators and you go 5 times 1, 3, 5 times 3. Remember, it's different than adding and subtracting. You do it to both. So 4 times 1 is 4, and 5 times 3 is 15. You can't reduce that, so there's your answer. Right, I'm going to teach you 2 different ways. Some of you like to reduce afterwards, some like to reduce ahead of time. So I'm going to do afterwards. So you have 5 times 4 on top and 8 times 5 on the bottom. And that will be 20 over 40. And I know that 20 can go into both, so this is where the reducing comes in. 20 goes into both. So it would be 1/2. Okay, there's another way to do it. You have 5 over 8 times 4 over 5. And I can reduce. I know that reducing always is something has to reduce with the bottom part of it. So 5 and 5 can be reduced because 5 divided by 5 is 1. So there you go. What can go into 4 and 8? Well, 4 can. That's my highest number. So that will be 1 and 2. And then I multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Why don't you try C and D by yourself? Put me on pause, do it yourself, and put me on play when you're finished showing your work. Alright, so C is 9 over 32. Can't be reduced anymore, and D is negative 7/20. I reduced it to the simplest form. Okay, E, a little different. So we can reduce ahead of time. It's already written the way I like it written, so I can do it from here. So I can reduce the 4 and the 8. What number can go into 4 and 8? 4 can. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. And there's no number that can go into y and 11. So now you're going to multiply across. So y times 2, y times 2 is 2y. Keep the y in the back, not y2. We're not doing bingo. And 1 times 11 is 11. And there's your answer. Let's try F. 2 and 9, these two, there's nothing that goes into both of those two numbers. We're right below, we're at F, right below the E. And then you have 5 and 9, and nothing goes into both of those, so you're just going to multiply across. So 2x times 5 is 10x, and 9 times 9 is 81. And if you can't reduce ahead of time, that means you can't reduce later on, so you're completely reduced. So let's try G. A number that can go into these two, or the 4 and the 4, is 4, so it's going to be 1 and 1. And I can do something with a 3 and a 9, so that could become 1 and 3. And then multiply across. So 1 times 1x, remember there's an x still there, would be x. And 1 times 3 is 3. Ooh, a little different. You have two variables. I can't do anything with the 3 and the 4 there, so nothing to worry about. And the 4 and the 1 can't do anything, and there's no variables that are the same on top and bottom, so can't do anything about that. So now you multiply across. 3x times 1 is 3x, and 4y times 4 is 16y. Now we're going to go back up to the next E, the last E at the back. Okay, to multiply or divide fractions, you need to have an improper fraction. So to do that, you take your denominator and multiply it to your big number, and then that answer you will add to your numerator. So you would have 3 on the bottom. You always keep the same denominator. So you would go 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 1, which equals 10. With E, the second half, you go 5 times 4, which is 20, plus 4, which would make it 24. Now, you could reduce if you can. Well, I could reduce 10 and 5. 5 goes into both, so it's 2 and 1. And then I can reduce 3 and 24, and that's 1 and 8. And then multiply across. So 2 times 8 is 16 over 1. 1 goes into 16 16 times. So your answer is a whole number. We'll do G and H, and then we'll go to the next page. So you have your negative 2/3 that will stay the same because it's not in a mixed number, but we do need to do something with the mixed number. So you go 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 5, which is 17. I have them both negatives, but I can reduce. 3 and 17, there's nothing in but 2 and 6 does. It's 1 and 3. Multiply across a negative and a negative. Negative times a negative is a positive, so we don't need to do that. So 1 times 17 is 17. And 3 times 3 is 9. And I'm going to turn this into a mixed number. 9 goes into 17, not 2 times. 8 left over, so it's 1 8/9. Okay, with h, all I'm going to mention is if there's a whole number, you turn it into a fraction. You're going to just put it over 1. Over 1. And then you do turn it into an improper fraction or whatever you need to do. All right. Now, we know how to multiply fractions now because of the last lesson. So we're going to take a division of fraction and turn it into a multiplication problem. So to do that, the word reciprocal, which means flip, we're going to take the second number fraction and turn it into a multiplication problem. So you keep the 4/5. The first one always stays the same, and then you turn it into a times sign, and then you do the reciprocal of 5/6, which would be 6/5. And then you check to see if you can reduce anything. 4 and 5, nope. 6 and 5, nope. So you multiply across. 4 times 6 is 24, and 5 times 5 is 25. And there's your answer. All right. Again, you're taking the second one and multiplying them. So you have 4 and 7 times 9 over 4x. Is there anything I can reduce? 9 and 7? No. But 4 and 4 I can. So I'm going to turn that into ones. Now multiply across. 1 times 9 is 9. And 7 times x is 7x. Leave it like this. There's a variable, so we're going to leave it improper. E. Again, because we're taking it, making it a multiplication problem, you're going to do two things at once. You're going to turn this into an improper fraction. So 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4 is 14. So it's 14 over 5 times, and you flip the second one, so it'd be 5 over 2. Can I reduce anything? Yes, 5 and 5, those can go away. 2 and 14, 2 can go into 14, 7 times. Then you multiply across. 7 times 1 is 7, and 1 times 1 is 1. 1 goes into 7 times. Now H. I'm skipping F and G. If you want to go back and do the ones that I skipped, that's fine. So on this one, you start with the improper fraction, make an improper fraction out of 12 and 1/2. So you times 2 times 12, and that is 24 plus 1, which is 25. Times. Now, notice the denominator's a 3, so you're going to put that on top this time because when we're flipping it already. So 3 times 1 plus 2 is 5. Can I reduce anything? Yes, I can. The 5 and the 25 can be reduced. So 5 times 3 is 15. And 2 times 1 is 2. And it's improper, so we're going to turn it back into a mixed number. So 2 can go into 15, 7 times. That makes 14. There's 1 left over and a 2. Goodbye.